Hello, boys and girls. Mrs. Summer here again. Thanks for joining the Reader's Workshop. So, I wanted to tell you a story about a time that I met this author, and the author came and was reading to the school. And after the author finished reading, I went up to them and I said, "Wow, I noticed that your reading sounds perfect. How do I make sure that I can make myself sound like you?" And he said, "Well, you need to look at the clues that I put in my story." And then before I knew it, he had walked away and gone over to talk to somebody else. And I never got a chance to ask him, how do I know the clues to help me? Well, boys and girls, this sounds like a mystery, and I think we're pretty good at solving mysteries because I remember we did that once before as readers. So why don't we take a look today at chapter 5, and maybe we can start to figure out what some of those clues might be that he was talking about so that I can know how I'm supposed to read this, because I know there's times where my voice is supposed to sound different. I also know there are times when I'm supposed to stop and maybe change my voice, but I don't even know what to look for. So why don't you help me out, okay? Here we go. Well, the title is called What a Day. What do you notice about that title? Did you notice the exclamation mark? Yeah, I noticed that too. So I bet that's one of the clues. Exclamation marks might help us know when to say something exciting. So let's give it a try. What a day. Here we go, read with me. Another batter came up. Swing and a miss. Swing and a miss. Swing and a ground ball to third. I want you to examine this page for a second and notice some of the things that the author, Cynthia Rylant, did in this book in order to help us read it the way she wanted it to be read. Did you come up with some ideas? Well, I think I heard a lot of you through the computer, and I have a feeling some of you were telling me, punctuation, Mrs. Summer, punctuation. I thought I heard that, right? Of course, punctuation must be one of the clues. I knew to stop there because I looked ahead and I saw the period. I also noticed these guys, dot, dot, dot. The ellipsis, right? And we know that when we see that ellipsis, that means we need to kind of drag our voice out and slow it down a bit before we finish our sentence. And then I noticed the exclamation mark. That's a big one, right? We know that means that we need to sound excited. There's even some italics here. I bet my voice should sound a little different when I read italics. Let's keep looking. Mr. Putter couldn't watch. Glomp! Zeke got the ball and ran in circles. The other team scored again. Now, what did the author do on this page? Did she use bold words? Did you notice that word? Glomp! And that meant that I knew I needed to read that louder and more excited than the other words on the page. Let's keep looking. I wonder if we'll see more clues on this page. The Yankee Doodle Dandies were not happy. They benched Zeke. Stay, they said. Now, that sentence has a clue. Did you notice it? Did you notice the quotation marks? They're telling me someone is talking, and so when that person is talking, I need to sound different than when I'm reading the other sentences that do not have quotation marks and talking in them. So here, I want to sound like somebody who is firmly telling the dog to stay. Can you say it with me? Stay, they said. No way, thought Mr. Putter. I bet Mr. Putter was probably thinking here, this is not going to happen. But he's not talking, but it's in italics. So I kind of want my voice to still sound a little different. That's a clue to me, right? Let's finish this page. The score was tied, 2-2. If the other team scored again, the Dandies would lose. Now, if you look really carefully here, you'll notice this is not a period. This is another mark. You know what that mark is called? It's a comma. That's right. And when we see commas, we give ourselves a small pause, like a 1 second breath, right? But when we see periods, we might give ourselves a 2 or 3 second breath. So let's try that sentence together, shall we? If the other team scored again, the Dandies would lose. Very good. I feel like we've pretty much solved it all. Let's check out my poster here, okay? And I think we discussed all of these great clues that readers might notice in their reading to help them know how to read the story, right? They might look for punctuation like period, exclamation, and question marks. Now, we didn't see any question marks today, but we know that our voice changes when we see question marks and it kind of goes up, right? And makes the question sound. We look for those punctuations in the middle of the sentence, right? And we found them. We found a comma and we found an ellipses. We look for the special print, the bold and the italics and the capital. And although there were no bold words, we did see some italics and we knew to change our voice for those. And we saw the capital in the word glomp, right? And we all said that louder. We looked for dialogue, right? And we read to see whether, how the author might have wanted that read. Now, in our book here, when there's dialogue, they're talking here and it says stay, they said. So that means nobody's yelling it or shouting it or whispering it. So they're just saying the word stay. And I imagine that she's saying it in a way that's kind of firm, right? In this book, we don't see any of the speech bubbles, but we saw them a lot yesterday in I Really Like Slop, if you remember our Elephant and Piggy book from yesterday. And one thing we can always look at is the picture, right? Pictures tell us a lot about the way that the characters should sound in the book. And they're a big clue to us, especially yesterday in our Elephant and Piggy book, as well as today. We saw Mrs. Teaberry when she said stay, she looked serious. So readers, from now on, while you're reading, it's your job to be on the lookout for these clues in your reading. And when you read out loud today, I want you to pay special attention to all of the clues that the author is giving you in the story and do your best to sound the way you think the author wants you to sound. Okay? I think you're ready. Off you go. Bye.